Hi, everyone. Welcome to the middle of Unit 5. Today, we're going to talk about crafting a strong introduction to your argumentative essay. And again, the task this week, after you've completed the initial post of your discussion board tonight, the main assignment is to craft the introduction for your argumentative essay. And again, you're going to choose the same topic that you wrote your 2 paragraphs over in Unit 4. That's the topic that you will be writing your argumentative essay over. It's very helpful to go ahead and peruse the final instructions for the argumentative essay. There's a link to that in your Unit 5 description. And also, it's very helpful to go ahead and look at the instructions and rubric for the introductive paragraph as well in Unit 5 before you get started on crafting it. But what I want to do today is speak more generally about crafting strong introductions in argumentative essays, some tips and tricks on how to do that. And in this announcement that I'm posting today, you'll also find a sample that is tailored towards this term's essay. So be sure to check that out so that you have a good understanding of what a strong introduction for this specific assignment looks like. Okay. So why do we want to craft a strong introduction? What difference does it make? Obviously, it's the first thing that your reader is going to see. It's the first thing that they're going to encounter, and first impressions matter. It's think of it as meeting a person, right? For the first time, your first impression of them matters. You need to have a strong opening to grab their attention and to keep them reading. Think about any time you've watched a new show, watched a movie, or read anything. If the first scene or the first few lines don't grab your attention, you're going to put it down and you're going to turn it off, right? It also establishes your credibility as a writer, right? It shows your reader that you've thought deeply about the subject. It shows that you have sort of the authority to talk about this subject. And you do that by demonstrating your interest in the topic and that you have thought deeply about it. And it also makes your essay more memorable, right? It sets the tone for the essay and helps your reader remember your key arguments after they've finished reading. So how do we do this? How do we hook the reader? You need to have a strong hook, some way to draw the reader in. And there's several ways that you could do this. You could start with a story. So an anecdote or an example that illustrates the argument that you'll be making in the essay. You could pose a question. This is probably the way that you've been taught all the way back to middle school. You could ask a provocative question that sets up the argument you'll be making in your essay. Or you could use vivid imagery or some combination of all three of these. Using vivid imagery is where you create a compelling visual image in the reader's mind to draw them into your essay. Any way you can connect the reader emotionally to what you're trying to tell them, that helps draw them in, helps them get connected, helps them see the value in what you're trying to relate to them. Another key component of an introduction is to provide background information. You have to establish context of the issue of what you're working on. So you have to provide historical or cultural context to help your reader understand the background of your topic. You might need to define key terms. So if there's technical or specialized terms that are important to your topic, you need to define them to ensure that your reader understands the arguments you're going to be making. And you need to show the importance of the topic. So explain why the topic you'll be discussing is relevant and why it's important to your reader's life and in the world at large. In other words, if the reader doesn't feel that it's of value to them or that it's necessary for them to read this argument, then they're not going to be engaged. All good introductions also have to have a thesis statement. And in your introduction, you need to present it clearly and it has to be specific. It needs to be concise. You need to concisely and clearly state your argument that you'll be making in the essay. And it needs to be controversial. And I don't mean like scandalous. What I mean by that is that reasonable people should cause controversy. It should be controversial. It should be something that people can debate about, that can have a conversation about, that can disagree about it. If it is something that is already decided, it is not a debatable thesis, and therefore you can't make an argument about it. It should also be near the beginning of your essay. It should generally fall as about the last sentence of your first paragraph, your opening paragraph of your introduction. Another key aspect that your thesis statement and your introduction does is preview your main arguments. You have claim 1, claim 2, and claim 3, and that essentially outlines the rest of your essay. The order that you list them in your introduction is the order that they will appear in your body paragraphs. So as you can see, introductions are very important, not only for the reader in setting up how the rest of your essay will go, it's very important for you as a writer because it helps you stay organized. One thing that is very important to think about as you're drafting your introduction is looking ahead to the body paragraphs and thinking about anticipating and addressing counterarguments. And what I mean by a counterargument is if you're trying to argue something, you want to think about the other side of the issue. What is someone who is on the other side likely to defend themselves with? So what's the counterargument? And how and in your essay, you might want to even preempt that, bring it up by saying, using language such as, some people would argue that blank, and then you can defend yourself by saying, however, blah, 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 blah. The reason why you would do that is because by setting the stage, by saying, here's what the other side says, here's why they're wrong, you're preempting, you're showing the reader that you have done the research, you understand that there are two sides, and yours is simply better. You're demonstrating that yours is better. So the reader's not left wondering, oh, I wonder if they know that there's another side to this. You're demonstrating that you know that there's another side, and furthermore, yours is the best. Now, another thing that you might want to think about that will make your life a little easier, in 2 weeks, you're going to be completing the argumentative essay in full. And so one thing that will make your life easier at this stage is if you draft language into your introduction that will help you transition to the body of your essay. All right. And so one way to do that is to use transitional phrases. So things like, in the next section, this, or the first argument I'll be making is this. And that will help you smoothly transition from your introduction to the body of your essay. You could also provide a roadmap in your introduction to summarize the main arguments you'll be making in the essay to help your readers stay oriented as they read. And you can show the bigger picture. So you could explain how your argument fits into the larger context of the topic you're discussing to help your readers see the relevance and importance of your essay. All right. So that's a little bit about introductions. Again, I am going to provide with you a sample for this specific term's essay assignment. Please peruse it. It is in perfect APA formatting, which you are expected to use as well. And please look at the rubric so you understand how you're being graded, and that way, there's no surprises when your grade comes back to you. All right, that is due on Sunday night, as well as your 2 peer reviews. Again, your initial post of your discussion board is due tonight. If you have any questions, continue to reach out via email or via the Ask Your Instructor. Take care.